Hi there. Welcome to Margie TV. I am your hostess with the mostest. This is Margie March. We are coming to you today with a special edition. We have a gentleman from Lehigh, Pennsylvania, talking to us about humanity. Mark Pinsley. Let me read a little bit about him so you get to know him better. Mark he has worn many hats in his life, but he has always been the same person underneath. A 15-year resident of Lehigh County, Mark is currently serving as Lehigh County's Comptroller. Prior to his election in 2019, he served as a South Whitehall Township Commissioner. Mark is also a successful small businessman running his company, Dermamed Solutions, for nearly a decade. Before venturing out on his own, Mark was a global product manager for a $14 billion company. Now, let us welcome Mark Pinsley, Lehigh County Comptroller, and I think he's going to be a Senate candidate in 2022. That's a ways away, but I cannot wait for you to get to hear from Mark. And so we are going to bring him from the green room. Hold tight. I hope Mark is ready for us. Hold tight. Here we go. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Margie, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for reaching out to us. Welcome to our show.
I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, what we do is we get together and talk about everyday issues that impact humans. And so we're happy that you're here. And to break the ice, we have a few questions for you.
Great.
Well, the first question is share three fun facts about yourself, something that we cannot find on the internet. I know you're probably out there, you're a politician, but I don't want us to be able to find this if we Google you. So please share those three fun facts with us.
Okay, let's see. So, one is when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I tend to stretch. You know, it's like I'm trying to accomplish two things at the same time, right? Like we only have so much time in the morning. I'm like, all right, what can I get done? Two things, two things at once. So like that's definitely something that, at least as far as I know, is not on the internet at all. The second thing is, and I don't think it's on the internet. I actually lived in Memphis, Tennessee for 5 years, and we had our first child down there, my daughter. And that was, I have to admit, like I had lived in Boston previously, and moving from Boston to Memphis was quite a change. So in Boston, when I was working in the IT field at the time, and in Boston, you would get there at 8 a.m. and you wouldn't leave until 8 p.m. or later. In Memphis, it was like you got there at 9, you left at 5. It was a whole different lifestyle. It was actually much better, to be honest. But like I remember my first day on the job, I didn't know what to do. Everybody was leaving the office, and I was like, "Are we supposed to leave? I don't know what's going on." Let's see. The third thing might be, let's see. I had a dog named Sugar, and the reason I named her Sugar, I got her when I was 2 years old, and I remember naming her. I can actually remember naming her. And it was from sugar and spice and everything nice. And that's what little girls are made of.
Wow. Well, we got to know some facts that we might not find out there. So thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
Your example about Memphis, Tennessee. Once upon a time, I lived in the Northeast, and then I moved to North Central Arkansas, and it was very different from what I was used to from the Northeast. So I can empathize with from Boston to Memphis. We actually had to drive a few hours to get to Memphis, Tennessee, to pick up folks from the airport when they were visiting us. And so, yeah.
It's a nice area. I liked Memphis. One of the things I actually liked about it, because it's sort of the center of the state,
Mhm.
which you could get anywhere pretty quickly. And I flew a lot. So, it was nice to be able to, if I wanted to get to California, it was 3 hours. If I wanted to get to New York, it was 3 hours. So it was kind of nice from that perspective. And the people there were just lovely people.
Yeah, lovely, lovely people. Those of us in the South, we are sweet to a core. Yes.
It's so true. Like my wife and I, we bought a house down there and we moved down, and people came out and they brought us wine. Like our neighbors brought us wine and introduced themselves, and that just does not happen, or at least in our case, that did not happen in Boston. It's just not that kind of, you're kind of more distant in Boston a bit, right?
Yeah.
And in Memphis, it was just so friendly. I loved it.
Well, we could kill you with hospitality. So yes. Mark, as I was reading your bio, you are the controller of Lehigh County. Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about yourself and why you decided to get into that job.
Yeah. So, to be honest, like getting into politics was kind of late for me in life. Like I've always been a business guy. I was always sort of motivated by business. 2016 happened, Trump got elected. I'm Jewish. So when he was talking about the Muslims and the Mexicans and stuff like that, it really just grated on me. And I just wanted to balance out the world a little bit. Like I needed to feel some balance. And that was what got me into politics. And the controllership so the controllership is about money. And like my background has been in finance and marketing. And so I felt like that was a good fit for me. And it actually has been really good. Like, in fact, just this past week, because of work that my office did, we ended up saving the county $3 million out of $7 million that we were spending. So it's a feel good for me. Like, I feel like I'm doing something good for the world.
Well, it always feels good to do something good for the world. I read a quote today that said that when the sun is shining, it doesn't shine on itself; it shines on others. And so it always feels better when you see other people doing well because of maybe something that you helped with or something that you did. So it must be a good feeling for you.
It is. I love that quote too. That's really nice. Yeah, it is a good feeling. It's like better to give a gift than get one kind of thing, right? Like,
I butchered it, but you get the gist.
yeah, no, I really like it. Yeah.
Now, Mark, I'm going to get around to asking you about your favorite food and a few other questions. We don't have a lot of time. We have probably 12 more minutes to wrap up our conversation. But
Sure.
you did mention why you went into politics. But
Mhm.
has it been what you thought it was?
Um, no. I think so. Yes, in the sense that I feel like I have accomplished something, I think that has been good. I think one of the things about politics that I didn't recognize, to some extent, it's almost like going back to high school again, right? Like there's a lot of cliques that get involved, and 50% of the people like you for no reason, right? When you're running, and 50% of the people hate you for no reason. That's kind of very difficult to get used to, right? Like obviously I tend to like people just in general. If I don't, like until you get to know them, like I give them the benefit of the doubt. And it's kind of awkward or weird to, have somebody who really dislikes you and you have no idea why. And they start talking about you or whatever. And that's how it kind of feels like high school. And so that's something I really didn't have any expectation of.
Yeah, sometimes we think so highly of certain things, and then when it actually happens, it's like, oh, is that it?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. But you're still in it because you have plans of running in 2022. So you
Yes.
must not be so desensitized after all.
Yeah, I think you learn how to live with it, right? Like just like in high school, I guess. And one of the things is like, so some of the things that I want to do just require a larger platform. So I have been really focused on criminal justice issues in a variety of ways. And just as an example, as controller, one of the things that I looked at was how much it costs for a prisoner to make a phone call. And one of the things that I found in Lehigh County was for every dollar that a prisoner spends in a phone call, 70 cents of that goes to the county as a commission. So last year we made $750,000 in commissions off of prisoner phone calls. And, like, it's not even the prisoner that's paying, right? It's the family member that's paying, or loved one, I should say, who's paying. And they're already struggling, financially, in many cases, because a father's not there, a son is, incarcerated. And we're just putting money on top of money. And that's something that I just completely disagree with. So that's one thing. And the other thing on the same side is I see that how our public defender's budget is less than our district attorney's budget. And so the public defender, of course, is the person that, helps people that can't afford their own lawyers. And in our case, the DA's budget is about 3 times that of the public defender's budget. But the public defender has 75% of the cases that the DA does. So my way of thinking is like the public defender should have at least 75% of the budget of the DA. And so these are the kind of disparities that I just don't like. And in order to do something about those things, I need to go up to state Senate to see if I can rectify some of those things.
So Mark just wants to change the world.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you mentioning about how much money the state is making off prisoners. When you put the numbers out there like that, then it seems like if you want to make more money, you're putting more people in prison.
That's exactly right.
And I hate to think of it that way. I wish you well. I wish your opponent well. I wish everybody who wants to bring good well. And so
thank you.
I think the part about this chat is we try to get to know each other as humans, because we have one thing in common, and that's our humanity. We are not a divided nation like how sometimes the news and the media lets us believe. Because we have something in common. I mean, I am a woman of color. You are a white Caucasian male, and we still have stuff in common that we can talk about, that we can smile about. And so I want to tap into that humanity a bit and ask you a few questions as we're trying to wrap up. What is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie was probably A Few Good Men, and I don't know why. It just always sticks with me. Although, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is right there too. So I like them both.
Okay, so we got you. A Few Good Men and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. How about your favorite song?
My favorite song? Annie's Song by John Denver.
Oh, favorite.
Yeah, I used to serenade my wife before she was my wife.
Oh, so you're one of those people. That's
nice.
Yeah. That's nice. I hope you're still serenading her, because
definitely, no doubt. But now she she tells me the song now, whatever it is. I sing what she likes.
Well, you better get those flowers and do your thing. Okay? Now, what is your favorite food, Mark?
I'm a steak and potatoes guy for sure. I never got into sort of like fancy food, but I do like a good steak.
A good steak. Okay. You want it well done, medium rare? How do you?
Medium well. So just a little bit of pink.
Okay. See, people, you are getting to know about Mark. And so when he's ready to run for office, you can come dig up this podcast and be like, oh, that's the guy who likes that movie. Yes. So what book are you reading, or did you read currently?
I just read a book, and I can't quite think of the name. It was like Finding Courage, or A Courage. It was about a gentleman named Dennis Kucinich, who was, a very poor young man who ended up being a congressman. And it just really, the interesting thing about the story, quite honestly, is normally when you read sort of an autobiography, it focuses on someone's later life. So they kind of give you very little about the beginning of their life, and it's more focused on the end. And this was really focused on his childhood. And he was a very poor kid. And, they moved from house to house. I think he had like 17 or 20 moves, like in his youth. And it was just very insightful to me. Wow.
Well, interesting. Was he from Ohio?
He was. That's right. You know who it is then?
Well, it's because we have a politician by the same name or similar name.
That's him.
Ohio. Yes, yes.
That's him. Yeah. I just read his book.
Okay.
Um, was he, do you know him? Was he a good politician?
No, I don't know him personally. I just saw him on TV.
Oh, okay.
So yes, yes, and humanity chats. We try to stay away from politics, and so
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well,
yeah,
his book was very good, because it really talked about his youth, and that was what I liked about it was,
uh-huh.
he wasn't talking about what he did as an adult and all the, things that he accomplished. He
Hmm.
really talked about how hard his life was in the early days.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Now, this question really tells us the kind of person you are. So think about your answer carefully. Who is your role model?
My grandfather. Yeah. So I lived with my grandfather, I think for 7 years about, and he was a traveling salesman, and I worked with him for that period of time. So we literally traveled in the car about 30,000 miles every year, and he was really a man who believed in honor, and so I try to live up to that expectation that he placed.
Well, your grandfather will be proud wherever he is right now.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, my next question, Mark, is two things you like about Pennsylvania, or more specifically about Lehigh County.
Yeah, so starting with more of the broader base, which is Pennsylvania, one of the things I love about Pennsylvania is it's just, Pennsylvania stands for Penn's Woods. And it's just a beautiful part of the country. There's lots of woods here, lots of trees. If you go up in a helicopter or a plane and drive over, it's green. It's very beautiful. A lot of just natural resources. So that's one of the things that I like about it. And then from Lehigh County perspective, one of the really nice things about Lehigh County is it's very easy to get to many different places. So we have some good, really, arts here, where you can go to the theater or whatever. Or if you want to go to New York, you can go to New York in an hour and a half. You can go to Washington in a couple of hours. You can go to Philadelphia in a couple of hours. So it's just a really nice place to be able to get to a lot of different places and feel connected to the world.
Oh, well, if you had to change anything about Lehigh County, I know you've talked about the prison system. I know you, but if you had to change anything, if you had to pick one thing to change, what would you do?
One thing to change. Oh,
Yes.
I mean, I'd lift people out of poverty if I could. Like we have, a lot of people that, struggle. And so that if I could give them that, that would be sort of my magic wish.
Well, that's a wish that I wish that we could fulfill. You know,
Yes, me too.
it is heartbreaking to see people suffer, and so yes.
Especially right now, like it's very difficult right now. COVID, isn't gone yet. And so there are certain areas that, like restaurants and things like that, they're not back at 100%. So yeah, it's gonna, it was already bad before. It's gotten worse. Yeah, I think it will get better. So I'm excited about that. Like I can see the economy returning, but we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, yeah, we hope for that day where there will be that light at the end of the tunnel. Now, Mark, in closing, I mean, the time has just flown by, but in closing, if you were to meet someone and you had to introduce yourself to that person with an elevator pitch, what would you say?
I would say, I'm Mark Pinsley. I'm running for state senate. I would start there. And I would say, look, I'm an entrepreneur, and what I want to be able to do is provide a helping hand to others that want to either start their own business or they want to find a way to climb their own ladders. And anything that I could do to help, I would be happy to do that. And then anything that we can learn from each other, I am open to learning from them as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, that's that Jewish guy from Lehigh County. He just gave you his pitch. I'm gonna look you up. I'm gonna follow your progress, and I
Thank
hope
you.
we can. I hope we can have you back on the podcast, listeners, viewers. It has been great getting to know Mark Pinsley of Pennsylvania. I am your hostess with the mostest, the host of Humanity Chats, the best author on this part of the world. Yeah, I don't even know why I said that, but yeah, I did. You know, it has been nice to chat with you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. And for everybody who tuned in, thank you for joining us. We hope to come to your living rooms or your phones or devices soon. Next up we have Kathy McCabe, who is running for mayor of Spartanburg. Just next week. And so we're going to learn about Kathy's favorite food as well and a few other things. And she will give us her elevator pitch. So don't go too far. Subscribe to Margie TV on the YouTube. Listen to us on the podcast. Give us a rating if you love what you hear from us, and keep coming back. And so for Mark and myself, we say good night, and we will see you soon.
Good night.